Hey, greetings vinyl community, Greg here, and welcome to Thanksgiving weekend edition of the Vinyl Rundown. And it's been like 2 weeks since I made a video. I apologize. Just been busy with a lot of stuff, holidays, etc. Black Friday, record store day. Tell you about some stuff I bought the last 2 days. Went to 2 different record stores in the last 2 days. One was yesterday on record store day, and one was today, the day after. Record stores here in the local Los Angeles area. If you follow my channel and you know kind of the stores I hang out at, you could probably guess what they are, but I don't necessarily need to name them. Unfortunately, you're not going to see any record store day releases in this video, even though I did buy some. Those are gifts, so you will see those in the Christmas gift episode, probably December 26th or 27th. Our family usually gives 20 or 30 vinyl records to each other. Me, my wife, my son, all big record and music fans. And you have to wait till then because I don't want to give away the gifts. I want to give them away. I don't want to give any spoilers. So we'll go backwards in time. Went to a record store today. Why was I out in that part of town? Well, we actually went to a film festival because we're quite the film aficionados, right? The artsy film crowd in Los Angeles. We went to the 22nd annual Three Stooges Film Festival in Glendale, California. Black and white film. Very artsy. No, it was hilarious. It's a lot of fun. But anyway, we stopped at a record store on the way out there and didn't really buy much. You know, to make up for all the money I spent yesterday, I only bought a few things. My son got this for himself. My son is a huge baseball fan. He's got a published blog, by the way. He's got like 5 articles out in the last month. But this is the action history of baseball, compiled by the Sporting News. The Sporting News is a newspaper in St. Louis, my hometown, on Columbia, including the voices of baseball immortals, Lou Gehrig, Honus Wagner, Columbia 6i. Who else is on here? Branch Rickey, Hank Greenberg, Bob Feller, Ty Cobb. Really? Their voices? Pretty cool. I don't know what this is about, but check it out. Kind of cool. We're Dodger fans in this house. I am. My son is a Oakland A's fan. So the rest of the stuff I got at this record store today was from the 50-cent bin. Bargains, near freebies. You guys know Tom Lehrer? Satirist, funny, hilarious guy. This is a 10-inch on Decca from London. Very highly regarded label. High quality vinyl. Little scratch, but it was 50 cents. The reason I got this is because it has one song on it I like called The Old Dope Peddler. And the first time I heard this song, I was at a video shoot that I was doing when I used to work for Polygram. And kind of as a sound check, the talent got up on the sound stage and started singing this song, The Old Dope Peddler. He sang the whole thing a cappella. Got a big round of applause. I didn't know what the song was till later I found out it was Tom Lehrer. 10-inch. Hilarious guy. I don't know the rest of these tunes, but 50 cents. And I found something classical. Ralph Vaughan Williams, Symphonia Antarctica. I just like the whole cold ice glacier thing. I don't know if it's any good or not. 50 cents. Why not? This is kind of funny. The Guggenheimer Sauerkraut Band. I featured their other record on my Worst Records in the World video. They have another record that's more famous than this. The Sauerkraut in Hi-Fi. They kind of make fun of German culture. Kind of Papa, Polka, Oktoberfest. But I saw this 2 days ago at the Goodwill for $2. Didn't buy it. And then today I see it for 50 cents on RCA Victor. These are actually a bunch of guys from San Francisco. Guggenheimer über alles. Do you know what über alles means? Long story. Okay. That was everything we got at this record store today, which was not much stuff. Record store day yesterday, I spent like 2 hours in the place, and all the good records I got, I can't show you because they're presents for people. So the stuff I'm going to show you is not necessarily as fun, but I'm showing it to you anyway. Eric Dolphy. One of his more famous tunes is called Fire Waltz. This is actually a compilation of kind of greatest hits. But it's a 2-record set, $7.99 minus 30%, so tons of Eric Dolphy for only, what does that work out to be, $5? Reissue, greatest hits compilation. I'm not big on reissues and compilations, but original stuff from these jazz artists costs a fortune, as you know. So, let's see. What label did we decide this is on? I don't even know. Prestige. And it's a demo, so it's probably not that beat up. I'm putting all these records up here. Why? No particular reason. I'm running out of space. Bear with me. Okay, Johnny Smith. Not very well known guitar player. Johnny Smith Quartet on Roost. Roost is not a very well known label, which is associated with the Royal Roost Jazz Club in New York, which is closely associated with early bebop and Stan Getz, and who else that I can't think of. Anyway, Johnny Smith Quartet. I don't have any of his records. I was at the same record store. Now we've moved to the other record store, the one I did yesterday for Record Store Day. So $3.99 minus 20 or 30%. So this was only a couple bucks. I was at this same store a week or two ago, and I bought what I thought was my first Johnny Smith record on Verve. Came home, pulled out the record, and it was Jimmy Smith on Verve. I took it right back to them. They gave me credit. They didn't hassle me. I should have checked, but they should have checked too. No big deal. So my first record by Johnny Smith. There's a new YouTube guy out there named The Jazz Shepherd, and he went in depth on Johnny Smith. I don't really know his music that well, but I'm always interested in finding about jazz artists that I don't know much about. And we got some classical, we got some CDs. Herbert von Karajan doing Anton Bruckner's Ninth Symphony. On the Tulip label, Deutsche Grammophon. Whenever you see this yellow, that's Deutsche Grammophon. But the more valuable stuff on Deutsche Grammophon, the more desirable is got these tulips on it. So the Tulip label. Bruckner is one of those big German romantic, bombastic, big heavy sounding composers, and I've got a few of his records, but I don't have any really good pressings. The more desirable stuff for Bruckner is directed by Karl Bohm, but this is von Karajan. It's probably pretty good. I'm getting more into classical lately, guys. How about this giant thing? Beethoven Bicentennial Collection Concertos. I guess it's the complete concertos. These are 5 or 6 discs each, LPs, plus a booklet. And about 1971-72, Deutsche Grammophon released, I think, 12 of these box sets. $4.99 minus 20 or 30%. Heck of a deal. This is all Beethoven from here to here. And I already have one of these, the string quartets. String quartets, early string quartets. This is concertos. Let's stick it over there. Running out of space. Guess what? More Beethoven. Piano sonatas. And I think they released 2 records of piano sonatas. But we don't have Beethoven piano sonatas. That is some classic stuff. Some of the best out there. Okay, just a couple of CDs left. Again, everything in the store, 20-30% off. Filling in some holes that I didn't have. Does that make any sense? Miles Davis, Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson, this is a tribute to this boxer, turn of the century boxer. And I had this on cassette, believe it or not. The cassette broke. This is from the early fusion period of Miles Davis, like 1971, so there's 2 giant 25-minute songs on here. got some good players. It's got John McLaughlin, Herbie Hancock, a few other people. So listen to this already. It's out there fusion like you'd expect from Miles. And then another jazzy fusion record. One of my favorite guitar players of all time, John Scofield. And he was, I guess, on the Impulse label briefly. John Scofield, Joe Lovano on tenor sax, Bill Stewart on drums, Larry Grenadier on bass. John Scofield played with Miles Davis on a very late period. The nice Impulse label. And I've seen John Scofield play a zillion times. Local clubs. Great guitar player. I don't know this record that well. I listened to it once. It was okay. Not one of my favorite things of his. I'll give it another chance. John Scofield, past and present. And then we're down to 2 more classical CDs by the same composer. On Deutsche Grammophon, Bach. I don't even know the artists. 3 string players that I never heard of. But the piece of music, the Goldberg Variations, one of my favorite piano pieces, reimagined, if you will, for 3 strings. So they took the Goldberg Variations piano piece and rearranged it for string instruments. I listened to this twice already. Like it a lot. I'm getting into a lot of Bach lately. And you gotta realize Bach is one of the top 2 greatest composers of all time. Really, you gotta check him out if you're not into Bach. Goldberg Variations on piano is a good place to start, but I got 2 or 3 versions on piano. Now I've got a string version, very nice. Guess what? More Bach. Turn it so you can see it. And this is a very unusual record. Chris Teal playing mandolin, a bunch of Bach pieces, sonatas and partitas. So that's solo, just mandolin. And those pieces were written, I actually don't know if they were written for violin or harpsichord or what. But they were not written for violin, that's for sure. This is on the None Such label. We love the None Such label. Chris Teal, if you don't know who that is, he's gotten a lot of attention the last few years. He is now the announcer on Prairie Home Companion on PBS after Garrison Keillor sort of resigned, I guess, in a little bit of scandal, let's say. And Chris Teal took over the show. He's a very young guy. I don't know if he's in his 20s or 30s. Chris Teal was also a founding member of Nickel Creek, if you remember that bluegrass group with the wonderful Alison Krauss on vocals. And the unique thing about Chris Teal, inside cover, bluegrass, mandolin, but he also does classical music, and he also does jazz. The only other record I have of his, well, I got Nickel Creek too, but other record I have of his is a jazz record with Brad Mehldau on piano. There aren't that many people who can do classical and jazz and pull it off. I don't think there's anybody else that can do jazz and classical and bluegrass. And these pieces of music are like really complicated and intricate, and he's just, you can't believe how fast he's playing that mandolin. Okay, what else I want to tell you about my record store? Okay, record store day. I didn't really tell you about my record store day experience. The store I was at yesterday, got there at like 10 minutes before opening. I was the last one in line. They opened the store, let everybody in. I stood there, waited in line. Finally got up to the counter. You get up to the counter and you read the guy your list, and he says, yeah, we got it, we don't got it, whatever. They never have everything you want, and it's a race against time to get there early before your stuff is sold out. So the guy in front of me got the Herbie Hancock and the Miles Davis Live in Tokyo. And then I got up there and said, do you have the Miles Davis? Do you have either of the Miles Davis? No, we sold out. And then the owner, the guy behind the counter, I should say, a little bit snarky, he goes, yeah, but we got this other record, this other jazz record for Record Store Day. Don't you want to try something that's like not the old stuff? He was kind of almost insulting that as customers we only wanted the old standard favorites, Miles Davis and Herbie Hancock. We didn't want to try something new. I thought that was a little bit snarky of of the guy behind the counter, like judging our taste. That's typical. That's typical of record store employees, right? I haven't experienced it in a while, but you know, they're there to make fun of you and remind you that they have better taste than you, right? And then today, the other store I was at, the store was so crowded. The store is so full of boxes and records piled everywhere. You can barely move. We were only there for a few minutes on our way to this film festival I told you about. But, so when I got home, I pull up the record store. I'm looking at Instagram, and the store says, hey, today, the day after Black Friday, all cassettes and all 45s are free. I walked by piles of cassettes and 45s. Nobody told me they were free. Whatever. I got enough stuff in my house. I got way too many records. This is already an exercise in buying more records than I can listen to. So how many records did I bring in the house in the last 2 days? I'm acquiring like 50 records a month if you count records and CDs. And when am I going to listen to all this stuff? I'm really doing a poor job of controlling my buying and listening to what I buy. And every day I'm like, I'm going to listen to 10 records today. It's almost like a chore. It's like I'm force feeding myself kale or something. I must listen to 10 records today, and I fall asleep after 3, or I get distracted. So one of my resolutions for next year may be buy less records, higher quality records. And my son has been telling me this for years. Instead of buying 20 crummy records, why don't you buy 1 or 2 really good records that you really want and actually listen to them instead of filling up the house. This is now our 4th IKEA shelf. This is the overflow room in the back. I got 40 cubes out in the main room. Still buying too much stuff. Giving away stuff. I need to give away more stuff. I need to do some purging. That brings me to Thanksgiving, which I meant to do a Thanksgiving video, and I just didn't have time. So, cheers. There's some cheap scotch I got for my birthday. Thanksgiving. Very thankful to all you folks who watch my channel, especially when you comment on my channel. And I want to subscribe to each and every person out there in the vinyl community who makes videos. So if I haven't subscribed to you yet, please leave a note. I would love to subscribe to your channel if it has anything to do with collecting records. Even if I don't really align with your tastes, that's okay. I don't mind learning from people who are into different things than I'm into. Grateful and thankful for the life I have, and the family, and the house, and the job, and records, and music, and all that stuff. But the opposite side of that coin is I find myself getting a little into the greed and jealousy thing. I'm watching a video, and oh, that guy just bought 3 new Blue Notes. I got to go buy those. And really, Thanksgiving should be about being thankful for what you have and not constantly coveting your neighbor's records. And that's a little weakness I have here. I'm always seeing great records that you guys are showing, and think, oh, I got to put that on my want list. I got to go buy that. I got to go buy it right now on eBay. There's no time to listen to all the records I've already bought. Why am I buying more constantly? Is it an addiction? I don't know. And the rest of the world, they must think Americans are just gluttonous, because the amount of stuff we have compared to everybody else in the world, you know, if you go to Europe, their houses are much smaller, their cars are smaller, their record collections are smaller, their record stores are smaller. And once you leave Europe and the United States, the rest of the world, it's like they don't even have food, let alone records, you know. Africa, South America, some of them do, but the United States, we're very fortunate to have a lot of wealth and material possessions, but the downside of that is we should be aware that there's plenty of the people in the world who have a lot less than us, and Americans are a little bit obsessed with consumption and overconsumption. So I'm going to try to rein that under control, and I'm going to try to give out more records. Oh, this week I sent out my first package, my first VCLT package. And I'm not going to tell you who I'm giving it to or what I gave. If they want to acknowledge it, that's great. They don't have to. I've received about 5 packages since I've been doing videos. Some of them were prizes, some of them were things that people sent me. And I've only sent one. So 5-to-1 ratio, I gotta get myself in gear and give out more stuff to you guys occasionally when it's appropriate, when I think I have something that you would enjoy or benefit from. Okay guys, one of my longest videos of the year. I'm sorry, I'm just ranting as usual. So thanks for watching. Have a great holiday season. I will talk to you soon.